So since I covered the other clone houses, I figured it's time that I do a video reviewing some of Dua's fragrances. There's a rumor that apparently Dua and Alexandria Fragrances at one point were the same company, but that Henny had split from the company into what is now Alexandria Fragrances at some point. I don't know if that's true. I could certainly see it being the case. They both have similar quality when it comes to their fragrances. I would say they are, in my opinion, probably the two best clone houses out there. Um, Certainly, at least of the ones that I have tried. Now, they are also the two most expensive clone houses out there when comparing to genre, Dapper, Montage, and other house squirts, clone houses. That said, the juice is on level with the increase in price. So anyway, Dua's fragrances, they all come in these 30 ml decant bottles, very generic decants. They have these kind of gaudy labels on them. A lot of people aren't big fans of the labels. Some people love them. Personally, I don't really care. I think they're kind of unique. I'm not buying Duas for the presentation. I don't really buy any clone houses for the presentation. All of them are very generic decant bottles for the most part. That said, I do think I like Alexandria's bottles a little better. Also really like genres, especially the older caps. They had the embroidered logo on the lid. That was kind of cool. Regardless, like I said, nobody really cares about it. The atomizers used to be bad. The new ones are great. They have great distribution. I'll show you what it looks like here. I don't know if you can really see, but they do have great distribution. Now, anyway, like I said, I'm only going to be reviewing 4 of them today. I do have quite a bit on the way that I'm excited to review. But the 4 I'm going to be reviewing, I will start with one that I covered in the Aventus comparison video. That is Poseidon's Elixir Mod 1. Now, this is supposed to be a combination of a 2013 batch of Aventus mixed with a 2011 batch. It's supposed to get kind of the balance from the 2013 with the smokiness of the 2011. That said, I think it does that. I will say the opening on this, I mentioned in my other video, I'm not a fan of. It's very green, almost kind of has a Hashabat kind of vibe to it. I'm not a big fan of Hashabat. Now, this doesn't have the gasoline smell that I think Hashabat has. This does, it is more green, but the dry down on this is one of the best. Definitely one of the best of the clones. I would say, smell-wise, just going by smell, this is probably my favorite on the dry down. It's very smoky. The vanilla is intoxicating. It is extremely well done on the dry down. I am not, like I said, a fan of the opening, and when you're comparing the price per mil with the EDP of Armoff's, Club du Nouveau Intense Man, I think that is the better buy, especially since the EDP does not have that harsh opening that the EDT version of Armoff has. But, again, if price was not a factor, this is the best. Even beats out Alexandria's Basilica Prive, which is supposed to be their smokier version of Aventus. So that is one of my favorite from the house. I'm a huge fan of Aventus. That and Leighton are my top 2 favorite of all time fragrances. So that obviously is one of my favorites. The next one that I do really enjoy is called Midnight Rendezvous. And this is their interpretation of YSL La Nuit. I will say they do a good job. It doesn't smell as refined as YSL, for lack of a better word. It's not as smooth, I guess, but the performance and projection on this are amazing. YSL, especially the newer batches of Lunia, are very underwhelming. They only perform for a few hours. This will last you 8 hours. Projects very well too. It smells super close. It is a damn good clone of YSL's Lunia. So if you're a fan of that, this is worth every dollar, every penny. It's going to last you a really long time. It projects and performs like no other. Certainly would recommend picking this up. If you've never had Lunia, it is one of the best date night fragrances out there. Super sexy, super seductive. It has that just thing about it that really draws you in. It makes you want to smell more of it. It's captivating. It's unique. It's it's just intoxicating. It really draws you in. It makes you want to keep smelling. It makes you want to get closer to the person wearing it. Perfect date night fragrance. It can be worn, I think, in really any situation. Very high heat, maybe not summer. Cooler nights, or even just average temperature. I think it would be fine, and it's not overwhelming. It's not really gonna gross somebody out or anything like that. So definitely recommend picking that one up. The next is one of their newer hybrids, and that is Azure Supernova 2.0. This is a new blue release from them. It's a blue fragrance. It's a tribrid of Aqua di Gio Profondo, Roja Dove's Elysium, and Aventus. The overwhelming notes come from Profondo. It smells more like that than the other two. You can, though, pick up Elysium, and there's a slight Aventus vibe when it comes to the citrus and the vetiver notes. This is a really good blue fragrance. It smells different than Bleu de Chanel, but it reminds me of Bleu de Chanel. And it's certainly unique. So if you're looking for something that not everybody's going to be wearing, that is a very, probably mass appealing blue fragrance, something that's going to perform in the high heat. It's got a slight sweetness to it, but is not, overwhelming. It's certainly not a gourmand. This is great. This is a good pickup. If you're a fan of Aqua di Gio Profondo, this is a safe buy. It's great. The Elysium just adds to it. It's Elysium on itself. It's never an overpowering fragrance. It's a lighter, the grapefruit. The citruses that are added just really kind of help Profondo stand out even more as a summer fragrance. So that is also something I do recommend. This next one is probably one of my favorite from the house. And to be honest with you, I didn't know what to expect when I got it. So it is another tribrid, and this is Poseidon's legendary Chariot. So again, kind of has a corny name. Poseidon is what they call their Aventus line. Legendary comes from their Percival line. Chariot comes from anything with Leighton in it. So as you can guess, this is a tribrid of Aventus, and then PDM's Leighton and Percival. Now, that said, they're definitely not equal, ratios. The overwhelming note or notes from this come from Percival. It smells more like Percival than the other two. That said, Percival is one of the PDMs that I do like, but I'm not a huge fan of. So I was kind of worried when I got this. But I took the risk because Leighton and Aventus are my two favorite fragrances. So I figured I was very curious to see how they worked together, and I thought it was worth the risk. And I can tell you, I'm damn glad I did. This is it's extremely unique. It smells fantastic, absolutely fantastic. It smells essentially like Percival, but you have this sweet apple, almost cherry smell coming in from the Leighton. It just adds a level of sweetness to Percival that is not there. And then you get that pineapple note in the background from the Aventus, and and there's a Broxton and everything else in this, but it's fantastic. It really is. Like I said, I'm not a huge fan of Personal, but I am a huge fan of this. The Aventus is definitely I'd say it's about 70% Percival, 15, probably 70, about 70% Percival, 20% Leighton, and 10% Aventus. To break down this, I would say the ratios are about that. That said, this is one of the most unique offerings that I've ever smelt, and it was done very, very well. This, I would say, is within my top 2 of Dua's offerings. Now, they come out with new releases every single week, essentially. So it certainly might not stay there, but it is there right now. I do have their offering of Leighton Royal Chariot on the way, as well as their inspiration or inspired by version of PDM Herod. Those are 2 I'm looking forward to. I have done a review on the other Leighton clones, and I am very interested in seeing how theirs performs and how it stands up to the rest of the clone houses. So I will be reviewing that on its own, as well as Herod. Herod is my second favorite from PDM's line, so I'm super excited. Those have both been out of stock for months, at least 3 months, not longer. So yeah, that video will be up soon as well. Anyway, Dua's great. It is pricier. A lot of their offerings are $60 to $65. With that said, they almost always have a 15% off discount running on their site, and then every other week they have a 20%, 25%, and then about 2-3 times a year they offer a 30% off discount code, as well as free shipping. So when you factor all of that in, you can get something that's about $65 for like $42, $47, somewhere around that. And for that price, it's in line with Alexandria. So it's not much more expensive than Alexandria. Hell, it might even be a little cheaper, because Alexandria, you have to usually pay shipping. That said, Alexandria also has discount codes. So when you factor in their discount codes, they're not offered as much, but when they are, it's actually cheaper than Dua. Nonetheless, certainly, like I said, the quality is in line with the money. They are more expensive, just like Alexandria, but the quality of the juice is right up there with the price. So anyway, thanks for watching, and like I said, I will have up the review of PDM Herod and Leighton by Dua here shortly as soon as it arrives.